I've noticed since what with all the crazy shit going on in the USA and Europe, there's all sorts of Europeans trying to pretend BLM riots aren't happening. You're lying. Uh, uh, I've noticed people finding the older content I made a couple of years ago about the black community at large, the problems I had with the current state of it, and how they could possibly improve. And funny thing about that is I've seen both black people and white people vehemently agree and disagree with the points I made. So what about now? I think I'm slightly better at talking on this channel. I'm slightly more in tune with the news and shit and following politics, and I'm a little bit better at speaking. So what do I think of those videos I made in like 2016, 2017 about the black crisis in America? My views have not changed at all. They're some of the best videos I've ever made during a time period where not every video I made was hardly any good. Back when I would just upload any little thing, even though if it was overly long, repetitive garbage, and I still make overly long, repetitive garbage occasionally. So, the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I read like this kind of semi-famous Reddit post that's probably from a few years ago itself. And I found it really interesting because it was about supposedly a teacher in an inner city school and was alarmed at how unruly and crazy and like violent the kids were, and that this teacher couldn't teach them anything. And when the teacher tried to go to upper staff and like the what do you call it, the principal and the fucking superintendent say like, what do I do? You say, oh well, you can't do anything, it's just their culture. The thing is, the funny thing is, a lot of people in the comments to another post I've seen of this Reddit post, it's not the original one because I've never been to Reddit, fuck that place, but occasionally people say interesting shit on there, occasionally. And all these people were saying one thing that really surprised me. They didn't really accuse this teacher of lying. A couple of people thought that the teacher's post was a like a faker, which is possible. However, the situation that poster described occurs in a lot of inner city schools in America that are predominantly overwhelmingly black. And these schools, by the way, do have institutional racism because almost any and every white person that I've ever met or heard about on any social media post that talks about being one of the 4 or 5 white kids in one of these schools, they didn't get called cracker and have their hair made fun of, and it broke their heart because systemic racism is still alive in this country. They got mercilessly bullied and got the shit kicked out of them and got robbed constantly. And the teachers wouldn't do shit. That's what I heard every fucking time. I don't know if like it was impossible for any of these kids to ever learn a damn thing in class like this Reddit post described, because it was pretty ridiculous. It made it just sound like mayhem in every classroom. But we've all seen the World Star videos of a bunch of kids just stopping everything in the middle of a class, getting in a fight. There's that one famous one where these 2 black dudes are fighting like absolute crazy, and the teacher tries to break it up, and it's just this little white teacher, I think, or it might have been a black teacher, I don't remember. The point is the teacher's this little woman, and one of the guys swinging, I don't even think he necessarily did it on purpose, just fucking haymakers across the face, her right across the face, because she got in the middle of it. And another one of the black teens just sucker punched the shit out of the kid. Said, you don't do that. You don't hit the teacher, man. That's a woman, man. And the thing is, half of you seeing this wants to cheer this kid for having some chivalric values. The other half of you can't help but notice just sucker punching a guy in a conflict you're not involved in. And you got to wonder, you know, some people brought up like, oh yeah, well, fatherlessness is the reason why, if these schools are actually shit like this, well, it's fatherlessness. But the number one thing that all these Redditors and YouTube commenters would respond to this and say, that's ridiculous. That kind of behavior is not our culture. I'm a black person, and that kind of chaotic and violent and disruptive behavior is not our culture. Yes, it is. I'm going to say that one more time. No caveats, no exaggeration, no hyperbole, no poetic language, no metaphor. That kind of violent and disruptive and crazy and disrespectful behavior is not our culture. Yes, it is. Let me clarify. I've met a lot of people in my lifetime who are pretty racist. And some that were kind of a little bit racist. And, you know, a few years ago when I was still thinking of myself as a progressive, I thought, you know what, when you see one of these progressives who say everyone's a little bit racist, you almost want to get mad at them a little bit more so than the people who say, oh, only white people get racist, because at least you know the people who blame everything on white people, you know what they're all about. They're racists. But I used to recoil and think, well, I'm not racist, and the reason why I say I'm not racist is because I give every individual person of every single race, creed, and color a chance when I meet them. I allow every individual I meet to be a blank slate, and I don't automatically assume anything in particular about somebody. I might think something right away, maybe that's the implicit bias, but it doesn't actually color my behavior because I'm not the kind of person who thinks I know a person on sight. Just because you're a member of a race that is well known for violence and criminality and fatherlessness and drug abuse and glorification of promiscuity and how many other things can I bring up? All these stereotypes. Just because you might be a member of that race does not mean you are like that. But some people would say just being aware of not just the stereotypes, but the statistical fact of drastic overrepresentation in a racial group's behavior. Asians make way the fuck more money than the rest of us. Asians and Indians, at least in America. They make way more money than we do. White people are around the middle of the road when it comes down to racial gender breakdowns. White men are in the middle of the road. Especially if you figure in married people. Some of the highest earners right now are married white women. But anyway, black people commit several different categories of violent crime at 11 to 20 times higher than any other race. So it's not white supremacists just to pick on you. It's saying the fact is you commit murder at a rate 12 times higher than any other race. You commit rape at a rate 6 times higher than any other race. You commit armed robbery at a rate 10 times higher than any other race. And if you think nobody holds that against you, if you think that average people think, you know, being a whore is actually not edgy or cool, it's disgusting. If you think that some people think that, you know, drug dealing and killing people and gangbanging, you know, if some people don't think that's cool, they think it's actually kind of horrible and bad for communities, those people are fucking correct. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know you can make a lot of money being a gangbanger and a crack dealer, and you can die by the age of 18. You know, a lot of these people in these neighborhoods that we're talking about, they have uncles, fathers, brothers, cousins, best friends, dead before they get out of fucking high school. And these are not necessarily older male role models being taken out of their lives by being killed by other black men who are the predominant victim of black men. How's that for racism? Stop hitting yourself. Oh, so racist, right? You know, stop destroying your own communities. So racist. Doesn't affect me. There are some black people in my community, but my community is not the ghetto. My community is upper middle class, and those black people are white picket fence, 2 cars in the garage, families with 2-parent households, just like the rest of us. So the fact that I'm fucking single is rather unique in this neighborhood. So anyway, what was I going to say? This is a problem not because of, I've heard some, white supremacists say your IQ's too low. The testosterone in both your men and women is way too high. They don't say like, oh, you're, some of them I've heard say something like, oh, you're like a primitive life form. I've known enough black people in my life who were positive influences on me. I had a mutually beneficial relationship with these people, that I'm not willing to believe that every one of them is a unique, special freak in a field of retarded criminals. No. What I blame on the black community is not something the black community is born with. I blame the black community for something it chooses of its own free will and volition. This horrible, monstrous, incredibly hyper-violent, sociopathic, murderous, greedy, vainglorious, fucking promiscuous, and fucking perverted culture is your culture. And since black people have been the standard for cool since the early 90s and actually late 80s, the Michael Jacksons, and then the fucking East and West Coast rap scenes, the Michael Jordans, all that shit. I can't necessarily say Tiger Woods because he's more Asian than he is black, but, I mean, come on. But anyway, those people, combined with the MTV generation, with the decisions of a bunch of marketing executives, black people are in, black people are cool, and that was the first stage of diversity. And our first black people are cool were Cosby Show, bad example, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Family Matters, Sister, In Living Color. This was healthy black culture, and the NWA shit maybe less so, but I still think it was actually good music. I think, not all, but I'd say at least half of rap sucks now. It was never my genre to begin with, so ignore that point. But the tone of gangster rap was almost sorrowful. Like, this is the way it has to be. I'm a lonesome warrior on this road, and there ain't no other way I can be. Got 8 years of Obama. Like, where are you supposed to be? Maybe you should stop voting for the people who want you poor and on welfare, want you dependent. Have you realized that you're in an abusive relationship with the Democrat Party? That when they're telling you that Trump is racist or all Republicans are racist, well, some of them probably are. Trump's not. All Republicans are not. I'm sure all black people aren't somebody who shot and killed somebody to join the Crips when they were 13 years old, but a lot of them are. That doesn't happen never. It happens probably 50 to 100,000 times more than a fucking disgruntled white kid on medication that Big Pharma pushed on him suddenly snaps and kills 3 kids at his school. How many black high schoolers are out there who you think may have a body count higher than 3 because they're gang affiliated? You want to take bets that it's lower than the white school shooter rate? I would take that fucking bet in a heartbeat. And I'm not blaming it on your genetics. I'm blaming it on your culture, on your crutch of needing white people to be the boogeyman, of needing Republicans, and you know what, even just needing successful people. I've always said that, I'll end with this, because I know I'm kind of jumping through too many tangents, but here's an important point. You know what I've said? That there is nothing a feminist hates more than a successful and attractive woman. There's nothing a nigga hates more than a black man who got out of the hood, moved into a gated community, and made legit money. There's nothing he hates more. That's a coon. That's an Uncle Tom. That's a race trader sucking up to the white man. licking the boot. No, that's you. And you just aren't licking the jackboot. You're licking the Timberlands, bitch. You're a slave to consumerism, fucking unprotected sex, teen pregnancy, single motherhood. You're a slave to drug addiction, violent culture. You're in a perpetual state of war in a lot of the major... All of the most violent cities in America are majority black. Almost all of those are more than 65% black. Only one of the top 20 most violent and dangerous cities in the entire United States of America has a higher than 50% rate of whites. That is also the only one of the top 20 most dangerous cities in America that has a Republican mayor. Baltimore, Detroit, Los Angeles, Minneapolis, Portland, fucking Chicago. I can't believe I forget Chicago half the time I rattle off this list. New York, which was cleaning up for a little bit before that shithead Cuomo. We can blame that one on the Italians. You're off the hook. All Democrats. Why is your community shit? Well, first and foremost, I blame you. Personally, the members of those communities. It is your fault. It is the way you raise your kids. It is the way you form households. It's the choices you make, getting pregnant by 3 different men by the age of 19 with 3 different kids, collecting the welfare dime and needing it, and instead of spending it on your kids, spending it on fake hair. Oh, white people can have dreadlocks, but you gotta have a wig with straight hair and pay $350 fucking dollars for it and have 4 or 5 of them. Yeah, sure, bitch. Get real. I'm not even gonna try to fucking talk to you in some sort of scientific infographic way. I'm gonna fucking tell you the truth. It is your fault. But here's a step you can make in the right direction while still not looking in the mirror. There's a close number 2 whose fault it is. White neoliberal Democrats running your fucking shithole cities. And honestly, to be fair, if we're differentiating the neoliberal Democrat fucking shitheads and the progressive shitheads, the ones that are black and in charge, the black DAs, especially the black female mayors, the black police chiefs, they're fucking up way harder than the white neoliberals ever did, and the white neoliberals are fucking up way harder than any race, any gender, any Republican. You're making a mistake. You are the bootlicker, and all it takes to fucking buy you, all it takes to buy you, Mr. I ain't no sellout, all it takes to fucking buy you is $200 monthly on a fucking Snap card, on an EBT card. That's your price, bitch. So start thinking about the shit that the black people, before the shit got as bad as it did. The guys who were out there, Bernie Mac, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, what was everybody saying once they were supposed to say some sort of moral platitude and talk with a microphone? Whatever their profession was, whatever any reason there was for a camera to be on them. Stop the violence. Has anybody asked you to stop the violence in 20 years? Doubt it. You have a fucking 85-year-old, hyper-rich, corporate fat cat fucking banker and credit card bot, hyper-rich, hyper-white elites who live in fucking $10 million mansions. Telling you, keep it up. Keep it up, Tyrone. Burn your whole fucking neighbor down. The protest should never stop. The revolution is forever. You're the only one who pays. At the end of the day, if you really think you deserve that tax money, it ain't you paying it. Poor people aren't paying that much taxes. But if you chase all the rich white liberals who pay 50, 60, sometimes 75% of the entire tax revenue of your city, you chase them out, you become Detroit. You become Baltimore. You become South St. Louis. You become North Philadelphia. You're fucked. It's your fault. Stop the violence. It's real fucking simple. Good luck.